Hey everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing another video from Grab the Lantern. Today, I hope you guys all had a happy new year, and we're back with the Legends of Runeterra content, playing a deck that I knew I wanted to make before I even knew what I wanted to put in it, and that is to say, a deck about Kayle. For those of you who have been watching my League of Legends content, you probably know from just the background footage I apply to most of my games that I absolutely love Kayle as a champion, as a character. There's so much that I really like about the character, and when I found out that she was in Legends of Runeterra, I hastened to make a deck for her. It did take me a little bit because I spent most of my resources on Darkin stuff beforehand, but we finally have a build for her today. Now, I'm not a fan of the sort of traditional Kayle builds that have been running around. I know a lot of people have found success playing her with Bard. I'm not a big fan of that particular build because I feel like the Bard package is just too restrictive in what it allows you to actually play. And there's also the question of what other champion do you play alongside Kayle. I think there are certainly some packages that do better than others. I know I've heard tell of a Demacia Targon Daybreak deck that plays Kayle as the finisher. I can certainly see how that would be very efficiently and powerful, but I wanted to try this version of it because I think there's some really fun things that this particular version of the deck does, and a lot of fun little synergies that I don't think you can find anywhere else. So this is Kayle Yuumi, and the whole point of this deck is to basically buff the power of cards in your deck and in your hand, swing in for damage, get some early pressure down, and then basically drop Big Fat Fatty after Big Fat Fatty in the later stages of the game and end the game that way. Let's do it the quick card by card. At the 1 mana mark, we've got Divine Clerk as our single unit of choice. Obviously, this guy was going to make an appearance. He's a very efficient early card. He's a good target for a lot of our early buff spells. The fact that he gets lifesteal very early as well is very potent to help this deck survive in the late game because this deck does have a problem with being run over. I'm also on 3 copies of Three Sisters because we're in the Friendly Ordinance, the Three Sisters. What more do you want? Up to the 2 mana mark, we've got 3 copies of Avarosan Sentry and 3 copies of Esmus, Breath of the World as our units of choice. Avarosan Sentry is just here as a guy to die and draw us cards. I don't like how he's a little anti-synergistic with some of the other pump spells in this deck. He wants to die, and if you're playing spells that permanently increase his stats, that's not very efficient, but he's a good way for me to get an early chump block down, trade out with something, and draw me into, ideally, the cards I actually want to be seeing. Esmus, meanwhile, probably needs no introduction. Extremely powerful card, has a lot of really fun synergies with the deck, which I'll talk about here in a second, but suffice to say, he's a good way of the support trigger giving your ally +1/+1, as well as the chimey plants at the top of your deck to pump somebody in hand, and ideally mean that you can hit your empowered procs that much more easily. We're on Celestial Blessing as our single 2 mana spell of choice. This is a really fun combat trick because it not only allows you to potentially trade up or win a combat on the field, but also pump a unit in your hand for playing later. This can be a Kayle, this can be a Mihira, or this can be one of the other spicy tech choices that I have hiding later down on the deck list. We're also playing a very small Darkin weapon package here with 2 copies of Lodestone and 2 copies of Spear. Lodestone in particular is extremely powerful. You can slap this on an Esmus, then turn the Esmus sideways alongside an ally. Esmus will trigger and the Lodestone will trigger to pump the ally twice. Additionally, because this is equipment, it increases the power of the unit, meaning that you can play it on an empowered unit to get their empowered trigger, then attack with them and support another empowered guy to empower that guy as well. Extremely potent, plus there's the flexibility of being able to play it as Harazi in the late game. The Darkin Spear is a little bit worse because it doesn't give me increased power, but it does at least trade out for having increased health to let a unit potentially survive more attacks in the early stages of the game to help me stabilize, and also pumps later units as long as I'm able to turn it sideways and actually attack with it. Up to the 3 mana mark, we've got 3 copies of Winged Messenger and 3 copies of Yuumi as our first champion. Yuumi does a lot for this deck. Her level up condition is very synergistic with what Kayle wants because Yuumi needs to see units attack. If that unit is attacking and Yuumi is attached to it, then that ally has increased power because of how attach works, which means that she's then contributing to the Kayle level up condition at the same time. Yuumi also, as an attached unit, synergizes with things that increase her stats in the hand or in the deck. Because she grants her stats to the unit she's attached to, if she's a 4/4 because of various different buffs and I play her in a unit, that unit just gets +4/+4. It's crazy efficient, and I think it does a lot of things that I really like for this deck, so we're going to be including Yuumi. We also got 3 copies of Winged Messenger here because the empowered effect is extremely strong, and because this guy is, like, ridiculously hard to remove. I don't know why they decided this should be elusive and have, like, 5 health at the same time. It's a lot on a single card, but it's definitely very powerful, so of course we're going to be playing it. Up at the 4 mana mark, we've got Combat Cook as our single unit of choice. I know some people play Seraphic Wyvern at this stage, and I think that's probably a better choice than what I'm doing with my life, but I quite like Combat Cook. I think that he's a very efficient way of getting a unit with increased power. Seraphic Wyvern doesn't come down with increased power, it just has the ability to get increased power if it kills something. Combat Cook, meanwhile, because he improvises as you play him, he always has increased power and therefore can swing with increased power for the Kayle proc. He gives you equipment in hand that you can then play on a unit to give them increased power. There's a lot of things that I think he does that I kind of liked, and he slotted into the 4 slot, and I needed something there, so here he is. We're also playing 4 copies of the Expanse's Protection, or 3 copies of the Expanse's Protection. 4 would be cheating, but this is here because we have so many equipment cards. The ability to get the cost reduction in this deck is extremely easy for me to pull off, and this is a good way to protect some of our later game haymakers when they do come down. There's nothing worse than playing a Mihira only to watch her get Vile Feasted. Up at the 5 mana mark, we have 2 copies of Avarosan Hearthguard and 3 copies of a Mihira, Aspect of Justice. Now, Avarosan Hearthguard is a very powerful unit. If you can curve into this on round 5, all of the rest of your allies get a permanent +1/+1, meaning that you're able to just, any unit you play is going to have increased power, not only allowing you to stabilize, but also allowing you to then make progress towards Kayle's quest. And he's just a big, thick guy himself. He's 5'6", which is crazy efficient for his mana cost and allows you to really help stabilize in the event that your opponent has a pretty big board on 5 mana. Mihira is the one everyone else knows, though, because of how potent her effect is. Pumping everybody every turn she's down is very powerful, and her empowered effect, of course, just turns her into a game ender on her own. She also has a lot of synergies with things like Hearthguard and Esmus and Celestial Blessing, because you're able to keep her alive and give her more power, so you don't have to wait the full 5 turns for her to get to the point where she's got her empowered effects. She ideally only has to wait a turn or 2 for those effects instead, which makes her very powerful. Finally, up the 6 mana mark, we have 3 copies of Kayle and 2 copies of Revna the Lorekeeper, who is the tech choice I was talking about earlier. Revna is really fun because she not only contributes to the increased power and health in the deck strategy, but she also plays into it, right? If you hit a Revna off of the Avarosan Hearthguard, right, like Revna's already gotten the power increase, and then from them, and you play her, then she's even more valuable for the deck because then she gives everybody +3/+3. I can see a world in which you play a Celestial Blessing early in the game targeting Revna, then you play an Avarosan Hearthguard, which pumps a Revna, then you play Revna on turn 6, and then everything in your deck is getting +4/+4, and she replaces herself immediately. That's pretty potent. She's not always the greatest unit to see. You don't really want to play her with no additional power and toughness boost because she's just not worth the 6 mana, but I think she's fun enough that she made an inclusion in the deck. Finally, we've got 3 copies of Kayle, of course, who's just a house. She's the way in which the game ends. Even if you aren't able to play her immediately at 11 power, she gets there in very quick order because of how easy a time this deck actually has of increasing power of units. And of course, the flipped Kayle is just a haymaker. You don't even really need the empowered 16 effect, though of course, if you do get it and you are able to attack with her, the game is probably over. And that's the deck. It's been a lot of fun. It's definitely more on the jank side, I would say, than the good side of things, but I've been playing a lot of good decks. Let's play some more jank. Let's hop into the games and let's have some fun. Hopping into game 1 here against Sharp, playing Sejuani Renekton, which this seems like a very scary combination that I don't really want to have to deal with, but I do have the ability of making some pretty big bunguses to potentially deal with the Renekton, so let's keep a slightly greedy hand here and see what we can get. Double Yuumi isn't great, but I think we can make this work. I legitimately think we can make this work. So obviously we're banking on this turn. We're hoping my opponent doesn't punch me in the face with anything, but of course he's going to with the Treasure Seeker. Yeah, I mean, it's a little unfortunate. I only have Esmus to curve into as well. Double Esmus, not really what you want to see, but into Ruthless Raider. I'm getting my ass beat immediately. This is not going to go well. I'm going to need a really big hit off the top here. Because we're just taking 5. That's not really good, but we do have the ability of maybe doing something else. Okay, Mihira, and a Chime on the Yuumi. That is quite nice. So let's go ahead and drop the Winged Messenger here, and we can give it its empowered effect immediately by just swinging with the Esmus, who will then grant it the bonus. If I had enough mana, I could also play the Darkin Lodestone, but of course, I don't have the mana. This guy's also going to be really efficient just because of how much health he's got. Ideally, well, you know, that was a nice thought, but at least it does survive an attack from the Ruthless Hunter at minimum, but this should be the Renekton, and I don't think there's any way out for me if this is the Renekton, which of course it is, because I swear I have like a 0% win rate against Renekton decks for like this exact reason. So let's do this and just say, hey Renekton, you're not killing this guy, and I don't have to block with the Esmus. this kind of puts a bit of a damper on what the Renekton player wants to do. I'm not going to say, like, this is going to stymie him forever, but it does something. He doesn't even attack with the Renekton. Ooh, that's actually not bad. So we're going to take another 10, but, like, that's actually not bad. That's actually not bad. We're kind of getting away with murder here. We can even go into Clerk. We can give him the empowered effect with Esmus, and we might be able to sucker punch the Renekton on this turn, depending on what my opponent's got in hand. I do think I just want to go to combat here before my opponent has a chance to attack, or to play anything, especially the Sejuani for the Frostbite. But this is going to give me some health back. He's actually just going to go for... yeah, that's fine, actually. Because I just need to slightly stabilize. We still have a really big Winged Messenger. Of course, he can play the Sejuani on the Winged Messenger to Frostbite it, which makes this much better for him. But we've got the Mihira. And as long as she doesn't die instantly, I think we're going to be in an okay spot here. See what we've got off the top. Kayle would be huge. Celestial Blessing I don't think does that much for us, unfortunately. I'm trying to think if there's any way we can get Mihira all the way to 5 power prior to the attack, but I think it would require me to play Lodestone and then Celestial Blessing, Yuumi's Prowling Projectile off the back of that. I don't know how efficient that necessarily is. Okay, and he's going to go for the Exhaust, which is just going to get her murdered. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. The question is there anything else he wants to play? Renekton's just going to be a really big bungus, and that's kind of tragic. I don't know that I really want to Celestial Blessing, but I think this at least lets me trade up a little bit, so we might just go for the Elusive Cheese way to win this game, which is like, I hate winning with Elusive Cheese, but like, that's how this deck has seemingly played, so I'll take what I can get here. Does he have another combat trick? I'd be a little surprised that he wants to oh. Well. I can't actually say I saw that one coming. Battle Fury. Yeah, you know, that will punch me directly in the face for my life savings, and I'm dead to like anything, but maybe we can kill him with Elusive immediately. We'll see. Like, Frostbites would be really tragic. Any ping would be really tragic. But, you know, let's just try it. We're in there. Oh my god. I can't believe it. Okay, we stole that one. We absolutely stole that one. Kayle will be very disappointed in me with how I stole that. That is a sin. That is a crime. I had no reason to win that game, but hey, we'll take it. We'll take what we can get. Hopping into a game against Riff 8, playing Elise Draven. It's another early game deck that's going to try and run me down. I think I'm going to keep the Cook and tuck the rest and hope that the hand gets slightly better. This is not bad, actually. This is not bad. The one disadvantage it's going to have is that I do have to play the Esmus before I can give him before I can attack with a Divine Clerk to give him the extra point of health that he desperately needs to survive. Oh, he's playing Rearguard. Yeah, this deck is just going to try and run me over. I think the double combat Cook is actually going to be really important in this matchup, on top of if I can get a combat trick for the Clerk. 3 Sisters. Okay, I do like having that in my back pocket as a potential choice. Into the Elise, and I don't really have an answer for Fearsome. This is a bit of a pickle. It's going to be a lot of damage. I'm not blocking any of this. I'm just taking 6. That's fine. I don't even care. Actually, you know what? We can do this. This is fine. This is free. This saves me a little bit of damage. Of course, I'm not killing the spider, but it saves me a little bit of damage. And so I think, honestly, what I can do here... That went on the Kayle. Okay. So we can do this. We can try to get some health back. And, like, no matter what he blocks with, it dies. He could, like, invest a Vile Feast to then have the spider, like, not die and kind of trade up. But I think that's still okay for me. I've got mana. He won't be able to develop further. I'm still sitting on 3 mana, so I can play the Winged Messenger at the end of this round. And Winged Messenger, at least, is a big bungus, but he's not even going to have that. So we're getting the life restore, which is quite nice. I think the biggest punish for me here would be, like, Crawling Sensation. Vile Feast Crawling Sensation would probably end the game. or at least give him a tremendous advantage, but, well, there's the crawling sensation. Does he have the Vile Feast as well? He doesn't necessarily, well, he's just got the Arachnoid Horror. Okay. Oh, shit. I should have played that Winged Messenger, and bad things are about to happen to me. We did get some healing, and Clerk can still block because he's big enough now. So that's like fine. I think we're in an okay spot. If he develops even further, we can play the Combat Cook, and that'll give us another block to theoretically stay alive with. Esmus is gonna die. There's nothing I can do about that. But I mean, the question is, he's thinking about it right now. I gotta think. Okay, he's gonna go into the Draven, which does give him the ability to trade up. But we'll cook, and we're really hoping for... the pot is like the second best choice. I wanted the one that gives tough, but this one's still really good because it gives him the most health. So he can really just like block out and kill whomever he blocks and not really care. If my opponent does like use all the spiders to grab my guys, that's like fine. Yeah, this isn't even a lethal attack, assuming I have no blocks. And like, he's gonna challenge some of these units, right? Plus the Esmus. There's no way you don't... Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way you don't also challenge the Esmus. And so we only take 7. He loses 2 spiders. I lose my 2 guys, which is not great, but also fine. We're just going to Spinning Axe the Draven, I guess? I didn't even see what he pitched for that. Oh, he pitched another rear guard. Yeah, this is like fine. I think we can actually stabilize from this. Like, that was a big hit, don't get me wrong, but that wasn't as big as it maybe could have been. Mihira off the top would... Well... you know, that actually, it's really big. I don't know that it actually does that much for me. And the Winged Messenger doesn't have Elusive at this time. But if we play Sentry Messenger... we can have more units on the battlefield to block with. And we win this as long as we don't die. I'm debating if it's worth it going to attacks, and I kind of think it is. Like, the only way this gets bad for me is if the Elise... is if he's got a backup Elise in hand, right? Because then he could block with his Elise, trade out, and then just play the other Elise. But he's just going to take it instead. But that's fine, honestly. I forgot they gave me a Kayle proc here, too. Legitimately dropping Kayle in the next turn wouldn't be a bad idea. Especially not when he's gonna skitter on this turn. I don't feel like that was particularly good for him, but you know, you're allowed to do that. Okay, and so we've got mana for 3 sisters. He's just gonna go for the hard cast Vision too. I might actually be dead here. Yeah, because he's gonna do another Spinning Axe onto the Draven. And then what pulls do you want to make? He is all in here. So if I don't die here, this literally only gets better for me. And you have to pull with the Elise. And I do die to this, if not for the fact he's not pulling with the Elise. But I'm assuming that's because he... Oh, right, because she's fearsome. So I can do this. I can 3 sisters out a Flash Freeze to stop the Draven damage, and we're going to survive again with exactly 1 hit point. Again, you know, this isn't really optimal for me, but we're not dead yet. We are not dead yet. And so, because of this, I think we legitimately have a chance at maybe not dying. Big maybe. Double Celestial Blessing? I do quite like that, and we just want to keep Mihira alive. I'm trying to figure out if it's worth it to go in for the Kayle, knowing that I won't really have the follow-up afterwards. I think Cook makes the most sense here. There's Pan of Pain. And that way we maintain some mana. Oh, well, that might end the game in pretty quick order. I don't think I have an out for that. Hey, oh, okay, so Mihira does have lifesteal, but you just pull her last, right? Unless he's not smart enough to do that. Okay, he is technically smart enough to do that. But there's nothing else I can do at that point. So yeah. We were so close. The Brood Awakening was very unfortunate. I think, honestly, if it hadn't been for the Brood Awakening off the top, we would have won the game. Because we would have had the Mihira, we could have stabilized. I wonder if the correct play would have been just play Mihira, play all the buff spells on her for lifesteal and elusive, and just, like, swing in. I still think I lose to the Brood Awakening, but I'm not sure there was anything else I could have done to pilot that a little bit better, so, well, it is what it is. We'll hop into Game 3 here. Hopping into Game 3 here against Donating Wins, playing Lurk. Again, just, it's all the early game decks that I lose to instantly. We stole Game 1, we lost Game 2, which we should have, and we absolutely should lose this one too. I think there is a maybe 10% chance that I win this. The odds are just not great. We are on they're the odds though, which is nice because Lurk really needs that first turn to get off extra attacks. So like, yeah, you're getting your first Lurk proc. That's fine. We can Esmus here. Well, Esmus is not going to be long for this world, but that's okay. Because now we can Sentry, we can Lodestone, and then we can, like, get in for maybe doing something. You know, it could be worse. It could be worse for sure, I think. Okay, he's got double Hammer Snout, which is fine. So Esmus now actually technically survives an attack. We do the double buff seize, and actually, he kind of just takes 5 here. Like, I don't think any of these are particularly good. Yeah, neither of these are particularly good blocks. And Esmus's buffs are permanent, so, like, this is just a really big Avarosan Sentry now. We even got the Yuumi in hand as well. Again, the play, though, might not be the Yuumi. The play might be the Combat Cook, just because it gives me a thicker guy to block with, and we've got the Pan of Pain. So the tough is going to be really important for helping to keep him alive. I was going to say, you want to grab the Esmus if you can. Okay, yep, and that's going to give him all his trade outs, but I'm also trading out decently on my end, so I think this is totally fine for me. Into a Winged Messenger, which is, like, fine, I guess. So we could... Oh, actually, yeah, we can do the Esmus Winged Messenger thing. We kind of always want to be playing the Esmus on curve because we just want the Chime in deck for pumping our guys in the deck. And, like, we're like, actually swinging back decently. I'm not going to say we're doing well because this is Lurk, and apparently he's drawn his entire low end, but we are getting in for damage. We are keeping the game close. So we can Yuumi the Esmus to at least make sure that Esmus... Okay, actually, Hearthguard is the play here automatically. We actually got that Chime on the Yuumi, too. That's really nice. This is a call to pack, putting the Rek'Sai back on top, absolutely. That is just the play. That is just what you do. But Hearthguard should make this a lot nicer for us going forward. He's also just a big butt, too, to block with. One of the best things as well about getting the Pan of Pain off of this is that Combat Cook is actually going to be pretty... Oh, well, okay. He has extracted a way in which to remove my guy. He also apparently doesn't know you can, like, swipe grab units, which is kind of funny. So we take the 4. We pretty much lose everybody here, which is, like, not great, but it's kind of fine. Also, he didn't tuck a Rek'Sai. I was expecting that to actually be a lot worse, and then he apparently didn't have the Rek'Sai. Winged Messenger off the top, actually, is decent. Let's go ahead and Yuumi. And we might be able to elusive cheese this guy too. It's gonna depend on what he's got in hand. Okay, so we're gonna go predicting again. Like a Rek'Sai off the top is just really sad. A Pike is really sad. This is the no? Okay. I was going to say Bone Skewer, but that's not. Death from Below. This is the Death from Below, right? Oh, it's Blood in the Water. Unfortunately, we don't actually have anything in hand to buff, but that's fine. Because our unit survives. He does get the rally, but I get the first attack here. So we're actually in for almost lethal. And like, yeah, you can attack. That's fine. I'll take it, I guess. He actually missed his Lurk proc there too. Oh, I didn't even realize he missed his Lurk proc. Oh, we have a chance, especially because we're gonna have mana for Three Sisters. Even if he comes down with the Rek'Sai here, we just like say no. And Expanse's protection. What the heck is Forsaken Bakai doing here? Why are you playing this guy? Like, just play more Lurkers. That's why you missed your Lurk proc, my dude. I don't even care. What is that? Like, is that Death from Below? Because, like, you still get your Pike. Okay, it is Death from Below, which is fine. So we Expanse his protection. He still gets the Pike, but, like, I don't lose the unit, which is important. Because I'm, like, he's dead as long as one of my units survives. He actually does not know about Swipe. Oh my god, there's a Rek'Sai on top too. I was so dead. Let's block like so. We do have to block out. Oh, we actually have to block all of the biggest dudes, don't we? Yeah, because we're just that low. But it doesn't matter because we flash freeze. We freeze the Pike. We take 4 down to 2, and we got it. Woo! I'm honestly shocked because like he could have theoretically come back into that if he had like a Bone Skewer off the top. I guess he knows though. He knows his top deck is Rek'Sai and she can't block elusive. So hey, we stole another one with the cheese. Kayle has yet to come up, but also we've been against all low to the ground aggressive decks. So I think we're doing okay to be 2-1 at this point. But we got to do the game 4. We know how this goes. Let's hop into game 4. Let's see if we can't at least play the Kayle. Going into game 4 against Dawn's J, playing Viktor, Karma, Seraphine. It's gonna be like garbage spell combo, 0 fun allow. You know how it goes. We're gonna start with the Yuumi, and this is not a bad hand. His deck shouldn't come out that hard. It's gonna be like a spells focused, like Seraphine combo damage to the face kind of deck. I wouldn't expect him to be super aggressive with his guys. Well, unless he's got a Hex Crystal. There are some shenanigans you can do with that, but there's not a lot I can do about that, so we'll just play out our guy and kind of hope for a turn 2 would be really nice. Well, ask and ye shall receive. That's a pretty good one. So we're going to do this because, minimum we're trading out and we're getting the life back. So I think this is okay. We're also making progress on the Kayle quest. We can Yuumi onto the Esmus on the next round. We ideally can curve right into Mihira on turn 3. Lodestone as well. And can this go on the Yuumi? It went on the Mihira. That's, like, fine. He's just gonna, like, raw Time Trick. It's an interesting decision. I can't say I necessarily approve of it, but I'm not going to say, like, he's wrong for doing it. Well, let's just stick a cat on the floating chime guy and see what happens. It does mean now that Esmus can actually get in for damage. We are paying 4 mana for the Expansive Protection, though. Maybe I should have Lodestoned. It's probably not a big deal. Into another Expansive Protection, though. That's actually kind of disappointing. But whatever. It's damage. It's free. He's, like, not having a good time. Oh, there's the Viktor. We're at least going to bank the majority of this spell mana. We can go into Mihira on the next turn. We'll have the mana. We will not have the mana for Expansive Protection because we haven't equipped the unit. And he got Fury on the Viktor, which is really bad for us in general. But hey, at least the Esmus Yuumi does trade out with this guy. Okay, and he just goes and gets another keyword here, and into Spell Shield, which is a little awkward, but I think that's fine. Does he want to attack? Okay, Fan Club President for something he automatically can play. Which, again, isn't great, but we're just kind of seeing if he actually wants to go to combat. And this is fine. This is totally fine. I do not mind, actually, his passing there. Okay, Messenger, but Mihira is definitely the pick. Like, I have to think he was saving mana. Well, back alley barkeep. Can I actually even do this? I kind of can't, actually. Because she literally won't get big enough. Okay, Hex Core onto the Viktor. And he's got Fearsome now, which is fine. So we can do this because Mihira is now big enough to trade with the Viktor, and that's kind of all I need. The biggest question is... Yeah, that I was about to say, the biggest issue I was going to run into is if it's a spell that doesn't target one of my units. Because that's like a free unit. He doesn't really care. We do have the backup Mihira, at least. She's a little bit smaller, but we'll still probably be able to make it work. Plus, we've got the mana for the Expanse's protection. Plus, we could drop the Kayle. Ooh, Revna. Theoretically, very good. Theoretically. I'm not going to say, like, optimal, but, like, theoretically good. Viktor just got elusive. That is really rude. But we'll go for it. Into a Hearthguard. Okay, that's a pretty good drop on the next turn. He's gonna just go fishing. That's fine. The thing I hate about this deck is how cheap everything is. Right? Like everything that deck plays is so cheap, and you have so many cards in hand that it's almost impossible to ever know if he's, like, well and truly out of options. He's, I think, at max hand size. Yeah, he's actually at maximum hand size, so unless he plays anything else in this turn, he's just, like, losing a card off the top, which would be really funny if he like, lost a Karma or something. I would laugh really hard. But okay, so we have the Hearthguard down. I'm assuming this is literally just a play because of hand size. Right, because there's like no reason to do this unless you think you can, unless he thinks he can kill me on this turn, which this is lethal. Well, you know, sometimes he manifests a bunch of cards not in his regions and beats you with them, and that's the experience of playing against Seraphine. All right, screw this. No guts, no glory. Game 5. Let's do it. Hopping into Game 5 here against Dat Duelist Rar, playing just an absolute travesty of a deck. I don't even want to talk about it. It's Nami, Elise, and Twisted Fate. It's going to be absolutely degenerate. I maybe should have gone out on the last one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But, you know, maybe we can make this work. Okay, no turn 1 would be really nice. I mean, like, obviously he has something he can play on turn 1. But, like... he's really spending his time thinking about it, so... Oh, or he's AFK. At which point my whole... Okay, there's the Vistani Disciple. It really took him a long time to decide, should I play the 1-drop? But, you know, he did do that thing, eventually. If he doesn't open attack here, I can at least play Esmus and block the dude, which keeps him down a draw. Keeps him down a spell as well. I don't think that's too bad. He's AFK again, though, so either that or he's just so laden with options. There's so many 2-cost guys. I mean, theoretically, I could see him trying to decide if the, like, mana banking is more worth it for the Nami than, like, whatever unit he could develop with. He's actually going to play double. Oh. I understand now. Okay, alright, I understand his thought process, his concern. This is actually kind of scary for me, like, because these are, like, a really efficient engine for just, like, getting a bunch of spellcasts in a single turn. Like, I theoretically think that this is not bad. On the Revna? On the Revna? Dang, not on the Revna. That's, like, fine, though. So what we can do... We can Sentry, we can Spear on the Esmus, and then we can just kind of, like, start swinging with, like, a bunch of beefed-up dudes. I don't think that's a bad idea by any stretch of the imagination. We can curve into the Yuumi on the next turn, followed by the Hearthguard, followed by the Revna. This seems okay, actually. Depending on what he does, of course, but, like, this doesn't seem too bad. The biggest question is what... Okay, Coral Creatures. Go attune, get yourself your spell. That's okay. This guy's definitely a very... He likes taking his time with his plays, which is maybe something that I should do when I play this game, but I don't. And I definitely prefer it when my opponent plays more to my speed, shall we say. Okay, so we'll just play the dude, we'll get the card. Oh, I forgot this was a feature of his board. We get the little beat drop thing going on. I know I have, like, a Demacia board, but I kind of don't get the, like, board thing. Like, as long as you can play your guys, you know. I guess it's like you physical playmats, except you don't actually own it, so... I don't know, maybe the music is nice? Not my speed, that's for sure. Demacia is all I need. Ooh, Yuumi actually getting the boost from the Darkin Spear, which is pretty nice. So we can slap her on the Esmus to make Esmus a legitimate combat threat. And then we're just kind of curving out, just like I said. We go Hearthguard next turn, we go Revna the turn after that. Ideally, I guess we don't have any more chimes or anything to hit with the Revna, do we? I'm trying to think of what other regions Bard's cards are in. Like, theoretically, I could see trying to play Bard with Revna and, like, this, like, weird, like, deck buff strategy. You know, that's actually fine. And the reason I didn't want to block there is because he could have Discipline of Forced me and cost me the Esmus, and I really don't think I want to be losing the Esmus at this point. Okay, I'll just re-summon the guy, go fishing, re-summon the next guy, go fishing. Like, this is all fine. I have no issues with anything that's currently happening. Celestial Blessing, too. That's actually not bad. So we actually will just do the combat first and kind of force him to block. We save this as a combat trick if we need it, because we can slap it on the Revna, and then even though we're not dropping the Hearthguard, like, that's totally fine. Oh, Fleet Admiral Shelley. That's right. It's just an anthem for dudes. But that's okay. That's okay. We do have an elusive. I'm not going to say we're, like, in particularly good straits, but we do have an elusive, so we can block Shelley. And he's actually getting pretty big now that we have the Yuumi down as well. That's a +2/+2 Esmus. Look at that guy. He should not be this big. So yeah, so we can Revna on this turn. Everything in the deck is then +3/+3. We'll draw into a big unit, ideally a Kayle. I don't think Revna or Mihira can possibly be big enough to be drawn off of a Revna. But a Mihira would also be really big. And we just kind of like build a big enough... Okay, that's fine. So he's just looking to try and trade out here. So we can Celestial Blessing. So we're not Revnaing on this turn, but that's actually okay. Because we might have actually cost him a useful asset. Okay, so he's still just trying to go for the lethal, for the push onto this guy. Which is, again, totally fine. Because he'll at least draw me a card. I guess you're just playing it for the level up and for more meditates? I guess you could play, like, double meditate on this dude to keep him alive if you know, really wanted to. I'm trying to remember what Test of Spirit... Oh, I just take damage? Oh, that's it? Okay, I don't know why I was worried about that at all. Alright. Into a big dude. We can then Esmus on the backside, and then on the next turn we'll have to Revna. Which actually, this is, like, fine, because then we're giving everything in the deck +3/+3, which means that now, actually, we can get a Mihira off of Revna, and then we'd be really off to the races. Well, Burblefish. I'm actually really glad we're playing as much elusive as we are, because otherwise, yep, I would be dying to Burblefish, is how this game would be going. Yeah, I was going to say, show me the third one. I know you've got it. Show me the third one. He's got a bunch of one-cost spells as well. I'm trying to think what would be the most useful for him in those regions. He's actually not done a very good job of making spell mana. Where's the Nami at? 3 of 8. Actually, yeah, that's not that good. He does have the Lee Sin on deck, theoretically, which could be bad for me. I think that's how he plans on murdering me, and I think my hope is that I can hit a Lifestealer before the Lee Sin actually comes down. Kayle off the top would also be big. But Expand... Oh my god, Expand... The Chime went into Revna, let's go! Oh, we're living the dream! This is actually just a 6/6 Mihira. That is phenomenal. Oh my god. So legitimately, I think we saved the mana for Expanse's protection in case of like any shenanigans. We just like go for a big attack on this turn, which is like he can't do that much about. And like then we just drop Mihira, and I don't know. I legitimately don't know how we lose from then. I mean, I know how we lose from there. The answer is Lee Sin, but like I think we're gonna be in a good spot. He's digging. He's got 6 champs. Okay, there's the Nami. So she's getting close to the full level up here. He knows he needs a big board to try and stop the push that comes through. We actually have the Kayle flip already. And we like force and block out here. He's got a lot of elusives, but they pretty much all have to die. Main deck Ghost. Or possibly actually not main deck Ghost. That might have been created. I can't see properties, but that's an interesting play. Okay. So you're going to be able to keep pretty much all your guys alive. Just take 5 off of this push, but lose your whole board. Okay, he's actually really valuing the life total. This is totally fine. I think every block here is like absolutely fine. And so the question then for you, bud, is what do you want to do from here? You still have 4 mana. I think you can get the Nami. You can get the Nami level up. As long as you don't spend more than 2 mana. Or, yeah, more than 2 mana here. Okay, into the Twisted Fate. Bank a spell mana. Draw a card. So I think his goal is just, like, draw enough cards on this turn that TF flips. Which would be difficult for me to overcome, absolutely. But I do have some really big bunkuses. What is that? I've never seen that card before in my life. I'm not allowed to see it either because the... oh, there we go. Manifest a follower you can afford. Well, yeah, I was going to say, that is pretty much the only thing that you are going to get off of that. Alright, so don't Pesky Spectre me now. It would have been really funny if he'd have put the Pesky Spectre in the deck much earlier when before I Revna'd, but, like, that is kind of funny. Another Mihira off the top. We really need the Kayle, though. Right? Like, that's what I'm fishing for right now, is, like, can we see Kayle? Because, like, even though, like, yeah, the Nami's going to make, like, a lot of really big dudes, I don't know that it's going to be enough big dudes. Oh my god, it's even more card draw. Okay, yeah, he's just trying to get the Lee Sin flip here. Or the, not the Lee Sin, the Twisted Fate. So I guess the deck idea was, like, elusives with card draw, with, like, spell shit. I kind of see what he's going for, but I haven't seen the thing that's tying it all together, you know? You can even drop this spear on somebody. Or I guess actually that probably doesn't make sense. I think it makes the most sense to hold off, and then play a Naka. I think is, like, objectively the better play. And now we're back to... Okay, I guess because he wants the big spell. That's, like, fine, because he doesn't have enough elusive to kill me. He doesn't have enough elusive to block, I should say. So, like, we just kill him with elusive at the end of this turn, right? Like, yeah, there's the big Mihira. Okay, he does get his Nami flip. That's, like, fine. Like, good for you. Good for you. Can we see the Kayle? I would like to play Kayle at least... Okay, we're not going to see the Kayle. I was going to say, I would like to see the Kayle at least once this set, but it's not going to happen, apparently. Oh, this is our Yuumi flip, though. Oh, look how cute. It's a cat. I don't really know what you would do with the Yuumi animation, though. I should give Riot less, less crap for that. But, like, you're just dead, right? Like, this is lethal unless you have, like, another answer for one of the elusives. Which I have an answer for your answer in Expanse's Protection. He's trying to do the math. We've got this Celestial Blessing as well, which I guess we can... Okay, he's going to try and go for the stun, and that's it. So we Expanse's Protection, and we still have game. Do you have another one? You're okay, he's gonna go fishing. But he would need a 1-mana card, and that's not going to do it. Oh, health. Oh no, it doesn't give health potion anymore. That's right. Yep, okay, we got it. You know, so tragically, the Kayle deck never once played Kayle. But given that more than half of the games I played were against an aggro deck, I think we did pretty well. I know this is a bit of a longer one, guys, so thanks for sticking with me through all of this. I hope you guys enjoyed the games. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please go ahead and leave it a like, and leave a comment down in the comment section below as well if you really enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the channel as well. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well, with the occasional Legends of Runeterra content. I don't really have a deck idea going forwards, you guys, so if there's anything in particular you'd like to see me play, let me know, and I'll see about building it, but I don't have anything in particular, so the series may go on hiatus until I find another deck that I'm gonna enjoy playing. So anyways, thank you all so very much for watching. I do appreciate it, and I'll talk to you all later.